Hey guys, Noah Carey here of Pearl Lemon Academy, and I have another episode of Pearl Lemon Meet the Team here. This is the video series where I go around interviewing various employees at Pearl Lemon so you can get a sense of what it's like to work here, the different job roles that are available, and to get to know the people at Pearl Lemon. In this episode, I interview Lydia Sims. Lydia is our head of internal growth, which, as you will hear, is an all-encompassing term. She just does so much for this company, great person, and I had so much fun talking to her. So here is our conversation, and I hope you guys enjoy. Okay, so Lydia, I usually like to start off the Pearl Lemon part of this with just asking. It sounds like a simple question, but what do you do for Pearl Lemon? I know the answer is not going to be simple, but yeah, what do you do for Pearl Lemon?
So that's that is one of the harder questions for me because there's not really much I don't do outside of really technical things. I get bounced around literally everything I do, like design things if it's really simple. I go through content writing, I go through HR and onboarding, I go through making trainings, helping D with pretty much anything he needs. So like invoicing and accounting, helping his accountant with stuff. I handle his personal blog edits and getting those over to his writing coach. If anything needs to be launched on the site, I help coordinate that.
Got it.
Yeah, even like when new branches launch, it's my hands are usually there as soon as something
Yeah.
starts happening.
Yeah, I was almost a little hesitant to ask the question because I like to have some kind of a theme going, a consistency throughout. But I was like, yeah, like I know, just from talking to you and reading some of your updates that you kind of, like you said, your hands in so many different aspects and you've shifted around so much to like learn all these different things. I'm like, is it even fair to ask her that? But I did anyway. What are you doing right now? Like, what's your focus like at this moment, this week and next week and whatnot?
A lot of this week is sales support, helping them get all necessary materials as like that got kind of restructured a lot. So all the training is old or far spread and there's just a lot that needs to be centralized. So still helping with that. It's doing the blog rewrites to make sure everything already up is top notch because a lot of it isn't. And met really old standards probably. And now that we have all these new sets in place on what has to be followed, everything needs to be rewritten for that. And then I'm 2-3 weeks now into an invoicing task, and it's just helping get all the Pearl Lemon accounts met and matched up from all the different payment links.
Gotcha.
That's a mess in itself.
Yeah, how's sales been going? Because I know you mentioned that the past few weeks it's something new you're kind of getting into. How's that been going?
I got a huge relief last week. We actually pulled me from doing like the sales calls and all that direct things.
Okay.
So right now I'm funneling my old campaign, I'm funneling outward to someone else so they can take the calls. And then I'm just there for like support. So if someone needs a proposal made, I go in and make it. If someone needs an NDA sent, I just go do it. If they need tips on like audits or whatever to send a prospect, then I'm there for them for that.
Gotcha. So did you do a couple sales calls, I'm assuming then, and like how'd they go?
I had like 3 or 4 scheduled and all of them like ghosted, every single one.
Like, okay. So you didn't give it a chance to go on one?
Not really, no.
They like ghosted as in you called them and they just never answered, or they just never called, or just like they just dropped off?
Yep, all the variety with that. There was I like would follow up with them a few days right before because they wouldn't like fill in the boxes all the way. I'm like, hey, what should I look at first? And they just wouldn't respond to emails. And I'd go into the meeting room and I'd chill there for like 10-15 minutes and they wouldn't show. And like the link gets sent in email and the booking link and everything.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Was that a relief to you? Were you like, oh, thank God I don't have to do this? Or were you looking forward to getting on sales calls?
I still have no idea. I was super nervous about it because I'd never done sales from that approach. Like I sold credit cards in a store I worked for, and that was an easy push at the register, but it's not like the same as pushing a service that costs in our tiers for a couple months to a business and why they should choose us.
Gotcha.
But like I think before one of them, I slept like 3 hours the night before because I had amped myself up that much that I didn't know what I was going to do.
Yeah, no, I don't say I can relate because I never done one, but I think I would be the same way. Because I think Dee even asked Our boss just asking, oh, do you want to try different areas? Do you want to try like getting on sales calls? And I was like, no. I was like, I do not want to get on sales calls. Which, I like that he does that, offers different things, and that's why I think it's cool being able to do these videos, because I'm mainly a content writer, so writing's my main thing. But it's been cool to do other things. But I just knew right away, yeah, sales calls, I don't want anything to do with that. I was like, I'm just not going to be good at it. So I just would have been relieved if he was like, yeah, hop in the sales call, and he didn't show up. I'd have been like, thank God he didn't show up.
Yeah, I only did it because I was in a sales class. So it's like, you know what, this will be a good practical. Then I started learning it. I'm like, nope, still don't like this.
Yeah, I don't blame you. What would you say then has been, because you tried all these different areas, what would you say has been your favorite one to do? And then what is one that like has surprised you in some way? Either like you didn't think you'd like it and you did, or it's just, this is very different than what you thought. So what were those two areas you think?
I think my favorite, the best way to tag it, I think, would be like management or team lead that way. Just like when, I know you've seeing our trainings, like the Archbees and the stuff we build.
Yeah.
That I really enjoy, but that's mostly because I can just sit there and I just have to do that. And it's really hard to get pulled away from and go different directions.
Gotcha.
And I think least favorite so far, I think, has been lead gen, because it's just learning our process is so unique, or it feels so unique, that it's that much more to learn when you're already doing so much that it feels like stacks on stacks going on your plate.
Gotcha. And then has there been one that like has surprised you, in some way, that you either just didn't think you'd like it and you did, or some other kind of way?
I think content writing for me, honestly, that was one that surprised me how much I enjoyed it, because I knew I liked writing beforehand, but I'd never done it in like a structured style. It was always like writing for class, writing for school, writing papers, and I just liked doing that. And I liked my English classes, but I didn't know how it was going to go, like transferring from that type of writing environment to like blogs and stuff.
Gotcha. It's interesting that you say that, because I feel like I had the almost, I don't want to say opposite experience, but coming from school, I always felt it was more structured, especially in high school and in more kind of academic writing classes in college. But I'm an English major, so then I found those areas to be, when I took English classes, a little more less structured and a little more creativity. So with these, like, I guess I agree they're more structured, but they're like, I don't know, I feel like I also get room to kind of, I don't know, mess around and like be creative with it. But that's interesting that you kind of, I don't know, just coming from my school, I was always very structured with writing.
I was gonna say that might be just like a my high school thing. Like we like stick an MLA format, and that's about it. All of my classes, we weren't ever given like this set structure or rubric or anything. It was here's the book or here's the topic and go do that.
Did you like that?
So did not enjoy that. I am a person that likes structure and schedules and set things. I'm extremely type A, so being handed something very vague, it's like kills me a little bit inside.
That's interesting, because I've always been a fan of that kind of style, just the less direction, and then you kind of can pick your own and how you want to do things. I mean, maybe I get in high school needing that structure to a way, but I just felt my high school was very, especially with like history classes, when it was essays, it was you write your intro, and then you write 3 body paragraphs, and this is what you put in each body paragraph, and you start them like this, and you have a conclusion. And I kind of didn't, after a while, I got sick of doing it the same way every single time. I mean, that was just me. And I kind of liked that once I went to college, and I kind of just took a couple English classes, and I'm like, oh, you don't have to write the same way every time. This is so cool. That was my reaction, at least.
Yeah, that's actually a little bit in me enjoying APA versus MLA more, because you can you go by titles, not the intro, 3 bodies, conclusion. You can actually go into some context and show some variance with it, but still have like your must-have parts in there.
Gotcha. That's cool, though. It's kind of cool that different high schools do things differently. I kind of wish I went to your high school, but whatever happens. Let's see, what other questions do I got? So you've been with Pearl Lemon for longer than I would say most people in like the program we're in. You've been here since, how long have you been here?
I joined May 2019, so I think I am like a team member that's been here the longest outside of like the core SEO team that's like their own office, and one or two of the salespeople, and
Gotcha.
obviously D.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think so. That's May 2019. So that's been a year and a half. You're about, is that, if my math is correct? I'm not much of a math guy.
Yep, I think I'm about to wrap up like month 19.
Gotcha. That's kind of crazy because I've been here for about, I'm wrapping up my fourth month, and I feel like a seasoned veteran, like I feel like I kind of know the ropes, and a lot of the new people I'm helping out. And yeah, I've been here 4 months, and it's just crazy to me that you've been here for so long, which is really cool though. What have you like, having been there this long, is there, I know you've tried these different things, but like, has anything gotten stale? Or are you always finding just like new things? You're trying different things. Has it ever gotten stale, or is it just always keeping going?
I think there's been like maybe 1 or 2 points where it has, but that's been at like big pivot points for us where like D's figuring out what to do with a branch or something. So we just keep me doing a certain thing while he's figuring that out. But then from the beginning though, I mentioned to him that I like rotating through. So I've always been that person that just kind of like stays with something for a few weeks, and then we flip me around and then keep just rotating me through, finding new things to learn. So I'm always rotating, always moving. There's like my daily things that are the same, but it's always changing, like always for me.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's cool. Because even, I mean, yeah, I've only been here 4 months, but I feel like every couple weeks I kind of am involved in different things. And as soon as something starts to get a little old, it's, oh, I get, offers something new, whether it's just a different topic to write about, or yeah, different tasks and whatnot. So that's cool that even after a year and a half, you're still feeling like you get to change things. That's really cool. What brought you to ProLemon? So you've been here for a year and a half, but like yeah, how did you discover this? How did you apply? What led you to this company?
um I think back a minute. Like I initially applied via Angel List. My previous internship experience, all of us had to be a part of the Angel network there,
Okay.
because they're a coaching company for startups, and like startups like use Angel as like a big directory.
Okay.
So we would try to approach them and see if they need services based on like certain specs that they list as their company. And as that internship was wrapping up, I was looking for something new. And at the time, my son was 7 months old when I first applied to Pearl Lemon, or
Okay.
started applying at least. So it's like I had to be able to be home. I was online classes. I had just got back to Michigan, so I didn't have a car yet. So I just started going through and applying. And then when I found Pearl Lemon, they're actually like one of two companies to actually respond, and I applied to like over 250 positions. So I was applying to like 10 a day for like a solid 3 months almost.
That's a lot. I feel like I'm drained after one application. Like, after after I write a cover letter, send my resume, change the resume a little bit, I get drained. So that's kind of, a lot of credit for having the mental energy to apply to 10 a day like that.
It's the joy of Angel's platform though, because it just sends the profile and you can send this little note to the recruiter. So you just
Gotcha.
change your note up, but then it just sends your whole profile anyway. So as long as it's filled out, you're pretty set.
Gotcha. And then, yeah, you mentioned that you had a son at the time. He was only, I mean, I'm assuming you still have the son, but at the time he was only 7 months old. So staying home was a big deal. Is this remote aspect of Perlman something you still really like? And I'm assuming you're used to it now, but is it like, yeah, do you really like this remote aspect, or is it kind of just whatever at this point?
It has definitely become my preference now after working so many different positions where I've had to like get up in the morning and go somewhere, especially in Midwest where we can get over a foot of snow at night during the winter, to be able to look out my window and just know I don't actually have to get dressed to work. It's a huge
That's nice.
benefit.
Yeah, I can't say really to the snow part. I mean, I'm in upstate New York, and we get snow, but I'm in the eastern side, so I'm Albany. So it's not like Buffalo and Rochester where, yeah, that can happen, where just because they get that lake effect snow from Lake Erie, where it's just, yeah, you wake up and there's 2 feet of snow. So I don't have that, but it does get cold here, just, which is almost worse, I think, when it's just cold and no snow. If it's gonna be cold, I'd rather have snow.
Yeah, at least there's something to look at when it's snow. Otherwise, it just looks dead outside. Everything's brown and
Yeah,
sad.
you walk out, you just hit a brick wall, just snow. I mean, or just cold, and I'm like, I don't know. So that I can relate to, but yeah, the snow part's kind of, I'm sure it's nice to not have to, like, I got to put boots on, shake, wipe the car off and all that. So
Nope, and
that's nice.
it gets so cold here, even with wind chill, that if you have less than half a tank of gas, there's high chances your gas lines are going to freeze.
Really? I never heard that. That's
Yep,
insane.
that's happened like over 10 times to me.
Jeez. Okay. Maybe I'll, yeah, maybe I won't complain as much next time being talking about how cold it is in Albany. It's probably a lot worse in other places. Um, yeah, no, that's cool that you discovered like a great position with the online aspect. It's something that I wasn't sure how to feel because I think part of me mentally needs that like idea of put myself in this position of, all right, I'm gonna be doing work now, whether it's for school or work. So I think, yeah, I think definitely have to be more cognizant of not doing work in bed and all that. But I have ended up liking it more than I thought I would. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, that is definitely like the worst part. I don't think it's horrible, but it is a definite like hard mental switch doing that because I have to force myself not to open the computer on Sundays and to rest.
Yeah,
And I have a really bad habit of just getting bored or not being able to find something on Hulu or whatever at night. And I'll just start working because I'm bored. It's like, I need to not do this. Like, yes, I'm getting stuff done. And I feel nice I'm getting stuff done, but there's still that, like, gotta let my brain shut down, especially when it gets too close to bed.
yeah, no, that's definitely an issue. I think a lot of people have mentioned, and I feel like I have that similar problem, but almost different, where it's not like, oh, if I'm bored, I'm not. Yeah, my first thought isn't to yeah go work. It is to go on Hulu and spend time on Hulu, but it's almost more the opposite, where it's like I just feel not that I'm bored, but I feel like I'm not being productive. Like, oh, I have to be productive. I can't. This is a waste of time. And then it ends up being whenever I'm relaxing, I'm thinking about work, and then when I do get to work, it's like, yeah, I'm kind of drained. So yeah, that idea of knowing when to shut it off and on is definitely a huge part of it. One asked, oh, go ahead. Were you about to say something?
I was just gonna say, and like that's the nature of Pearl Lemon too, is there's always so much to do that I
Yeah,
think anybody that's remotely close to type A personality, you're just aware that there's so much to do. So even sitting there and just knowing there's stuff,
yeah,
because your task load never never hits zero. You never actually clear out. There's
yeah,
always something ready at least for the next day or two.
yeah, definitely. That's one of those things where, especially because this is my first kind of like job of this type, and just coming from school where, all right, I know this sucks right now, but I know, once I finish this paper, I can be like, all right, I can take a day and I don't have a paper due right now. Or the very least at the end of the semester, I get that, Christmas break where this is like I finish something and I'm like, oh great, but then I don't get that relief because then there's three other things I have to do, which on the one hand it's good because I'm being productive and accomplishing things. But on the other hand, it's like, man, I wish I could just have a whole Christmas break.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
But that's also kind of real life too. It's not always gonna be like school. Yeah, like one aspect to me too. I don't know if this has been a thing for you, but I've just happened to, since I started working at Pearl, I'm in be traveling a lot, trying to limit it, somewhat, but just for things like go down to Philadelphia for school and then back home for the holidays. And I was in Boulder over the summer for training. So like this remote aspect, at least for me, like that's been a really cool aspect for me, is because I've been able to do that stuff and still work here. And I didn't have to like relocate to somewhere, or I didn't have to, go to New York City or wherever. I was able to kind of be where I needed to be. Has that been have you found that, like, because you've been here for a year and a half, I'm sure you've not stayed in the same house like in Michigan the whole time.
Yeah, it's been the ability to move and do the stuff. I think it's been a great benefit. Like I've done a road trip with my sister and she's turned the hotspot on her phone and I had my laptop out and I was able to work like a 4 hour car drive instead of
Gotcha.
just like sitting there. Or I can go to my friend's house anywhere where there's Wi-Fi
Yeah.
and just being able to do that. And
Yeah.
mixing that with the flexibility of schedule, like not having to work 9 to 5. I can work 2 hours and then pause for a couple hours and go do whatever, especially juggling my son and my doctor's appointments and my classwork, not having to show up and be at my computer for a set time makes it
Yeah.
all just like that much easier.
Yeah, definitely. Much respect for being able to do 4 hours of work in a car ride, because I've tried, because I've had a few long cars, especially when I was in Boulder over the summer. My friend and I, we drove back to avoid airports, and I was thinking, yeah, we're going to be driving at least 7-8 hours every day. I can just, do work on the computer, like do some offline stuff because I'm, writing. So a lot of it I can do offline. And I just couldn't. I just might get a little car sick, or I would just get, I don't know. I'm not good at working in cars. So I get like an hour done. So I don't know how you got 4 hours done, but that's much respect for that.
It's like, I can only do that if I take my glasses off, though, because I will get car sick if I can see stuff moving around me. But if I take them off, I can just see the screen in front of me because I'm so
Okay.
nearsighted. So everything else is a blur anyway. So it's like having those
Yeah.
cardboard partitions when you're taking a test in elementary school so you don't forget
Yeah.
anybody.
I was gonna
That's
say
that's the
maybe I should get one
equivalent.
of those. Get like those blinders, like the horses wear, whatever, in the car, so I can just see the screen. Maybe I'll try that. But you also mentioned the remote aspect's been helpful for juggling, yeah, your son and school and all that. How have you been able to manage that? I know it's kind of a broad question, but manage because I know you're still going to school and you have a kid who's now it's like she's 7 at the time, if my math is correct, which it's not probably like he's 2-ish, 3, give or take.
Yep.
Have you been able to manage all that?
Um, I keep it's a mix of keeping 2 to 3 different planners at a time and block schedules.
Okay.
Um, like Pearl Lemon is definite block schedules because of screen time, and I will get headaches and my eyes will dry out, and especially because I don't have the special lenses that filter blue light, it's really
Yeah.
harsh for me to stare at the screen and having school online too.
Yeah.
Um, but it's the forced set structure I think has been the biggest thing, like knowing I wake up and I have my coffee and then I do my classwork. And while I'm doing classwork, as bad as it sounds, even with it being senior year, I don't have to focus that much. When I
That's nice.
do anything, everything's so broad and vague that I can have Todd running around me and asking for snacks and asking to play. And I can do my classwork while he does that. So I don't know how much I'm actually absorbing. But
Gotcha.
then um, the biggest parenting tip everyone says is like sleep when your kid sleeps. I work when my kid sleeps. That's like the biggest thing because Pearl
Okay.
Lemon definitely takes a lot more mental focus than other things. Like I worked physical jobs and there's that physical exhaustion, but nothing quite matches having a job that like will cause mental exhaustion that you're
Yeah.
sitting there and actively thinking. So it's just that's what's tiring there. So it's the work the 2 hours while he naps, turn the screen down when he wakes up, and then work again when he goes to sleep. So it's just pairing everything with set schedules.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's definitely a good way to kind of look at it. I mean, just the block schedule, so that way, yeah, you can turn the screen off because I've definitely noticed at the end of the day, especially with how much online things are now, just at the end of the day, my eyes just don't want to stay open and get glossed over. And I thought about getting those the blue light glasses, like you said, because I don't need glasses. I'm lucky enough where I don't, but I thought about just getting those ones that are just for blue light. But I'm hesitant to pull the trigger in case it's one of those marketing gimmicks that it doesn't really work. Because I know blue light, you know, the effects that it has, but I just don't know if the actual glasses will really make a difference, if that makes sense. So I'm like, I don't want to be the guys who like fell for it and bought a $90 pair of glasses I didn't need.
Yeah, and you don't have the curse of needing glasses, but like lenses get stupid expensive too. If you want them to like transition and be anti-scratch, let alone have any sort of special treatment to it, like insurance won't cover that kind of thing. So it's going to be like
Gotcha.
out of pocket, a couple $100 for the frames alone, frames and like lenses alone.
Gotcha.
That's
Yeah, I was coming like your stars that I just don't need glasses. Uh, I think I would look good in a pair of glasses, but make me look smarter. Who knows? One of my friends, I think, bought a pair of glasses just for show or for decoration or whatever, and we made fun of him so much. Not even like the blue light, just to wear to events and like parties and stuff. And I'm like, I couldn't believe it.
just like the snazzy hipster glasses, those like
Yeah,
thicker ones.
yeah, it was those exact pairs. And I'm like, oh, you got glasses? Yeah. I'm like, I know you need them. It's like, I don't. They're just, they're just for kind of for show. And I'm like, that just doesn't seem right. Something didn't sit well with that for me. But to each their own. To each their own. I guess it's like a belt. It's an accessory, like a belt or jewelry. But I don't know. Whatever. Enough about glasses. So new question. Looking forward, because we've been looking back a lot. Let's look forward a little bit. So, what are your plans with Pearl Lemon, and then also going beyond that and how Parliament plan plays a factor, whether it's just you trying to get experience for that or it will directly play a factor in Lydia's future plans for her life.
So I think Pearl Lemon is definitely like a big focus on future plans, and I'm the master of trying to do that like 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan ahead, and I trip and fall a lot. I am like more than happy to admit that I do, but like I get my bachelor's upcoming in May, and then I'm like official full-time core member here,
Okay.
and I'll be able to start my MBA in the fall and continue with Pearl Lemon during and after. That is the big master plan here.
Okay.
And I'd like to be able to do something myself, and I've started looking into things, and I do know like relative costs and risk and everything with it, and it's offsetting that risk versus reward thing while trying to
Yeah.
balance still maintaining a job.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's cool that I see Prolemon long term in your future, and that's an option for people who want to go through this program. That can be the short term. Yeah, get some experience, learn some things, build a portfolio, whatever. Then also, yeah, there is that long term option if you do a good job, of course, which you obviously have been. So, question going off that, because we kind of talked about this before, so I kind of know a little bit about that. But I'd love if you could talk about more specific your plans with the future in terms of like if your goals in terms of building a business and how Prolemon can help with that, because I think that could be something useful for listeners if they are thinking about if they're more business oriented and they have an idea for a startup that they can use, go to Prolemon, learn from it, but then also work hand in hand with Prolemon to build that business.
I think one of the biggest things learning is, because we're still that startup phase, you can learn what it's like to be in that portion of business development. Because I think there's a lot of people in my cohort that talk about entrepreneurship and they think it's going to be, I'm just going to get all the stuff and then it's going to be good. And they kind of skip over that like huge window that can be there in business development and trial and error and potentially not making it. And when I was a culinary major, everybody always wants to own their own restaurant, but the fact of the matter there is like over 70% of restaurants will fail within their first 3 years. And it's just because of a mix of management and finances, because
Gotcha.
starting those is not cheap and maintaining them takes a lot more than just like hopes and dreams there. And like personally, I'm looking at trying to launch a form of like subscription box, but even the nature of that, having the special licenses to do that and the connections to keep it all legal is still going to be like a hefty buck to get that going.
Yeah.
But it at least lets you know what it is at the start. And like I've seen us have to pivot and change a lot here and there. So it's knowing something's not always going to work and there's always something that needs to change. That business is not this like stagnant thing that just is and it goes forward.
Gotcha.
Which I feel is why a lot of people choose business majors, because they think it's just they can get in anywhere and it's just simple and straightforward. But then once you actually start getting into it, it's not.
Yeah, definitely. Because, I mean, business isn't something that I'm necessarily interested in terms of, I don't ever plan on really starting my own business, if that makes sense. But even just being here as a content writer, because that's where my focus is on writing, just as that I'm seeing firsthand, like you said, everything that's going into this startup without even necessarily being directly involved with the actual startup process, just seeing the messages he's sending. And he just kind of sends videos out in general of, here's something I did with this client. So I could like, I'm learning about this business without even being directly involved in it. So I can only imagine how much you're learning being more involved with that aspect of it for sure. Definitely, like, because so many people think they have this great idea for a business and that's only, a small fraction of the business of this, this having a great idea or a product. But you got to do all these other things that I don't even know how to begin to say, in addition to like starting and failing. Because we've had, even since I've been here, we've like kind of had branches like the, Prolemon Convert and sales that have kind of haven't worked, but then he adjusted and merged them with Prolemon SEO and leads. And that's kind of working, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's really, I think, a valuable thing to see for sure.
Yeah, especially service industry, especially I noticed that there's a lot of pivoting because everybody changes what they want. And like too many people will come into that niche and try to offer the same thing you do. So now it's trying to prove yourself that what you do offer is the best when there's so many cheaper options. But the reality of those ones is they're probably very watered down and they know very low level things, but
Yeah.
they'll pitch it to you like they know.
Yeah. It definitely makes sense. So, oh shoot, I had a question. I forgot. I'm gonna have to cut this part out. I totally had something I was gonna say and I lost it. Um, oh, okay, here we go. So, yeah, going forward, you have an idea for a business. Like you said, it's kind of subscription based. And I'm only asking this because I already kind of know the answer. What What do you think has been more beneficial for you long term in terms of starting this business? What you've learned at Prolemon or what you've learned in your business classes at school?
It is definitely Pearl Lemon experience, like by a long shot. Like it's hard for me to even like compare the two to even like be that they'll be maybe close. And maybe that's just my outlook on college experience too, and changing majors so many times that I just want to be done.
Yeah,
But I can read my textbooks and they're super low level and it's like definitions and nothing really practical on how to apply it. So I know offhand if I wouldn't have come here and been able to start learning outside of books, I would have been severely like underprepared for a job market because like I graduate in May and I still feel like I don't know anything from college. Like I know how to structure a paper and I know sales definitions, but I
yeah,
don't know like with that one specifically just because I'm in a class like it talks about you need to nurture a lead, but that section in the book doesn't actually tell you how to. It doesn't give you any guide on how to do that. It just says establish a relationship. And how effective is that to tell someone like establish a relationship? It's like great, but how?
yeah, yeah, definitely. And just even speaking from my experience, not necessarily the business aspect, but just with the writing, I've just been trying different things with writing, and these had me try different topics and different styles, different platforms, whatever. And just the act of me, doing it myself and researching it myself and figuring it out, I feel like I've learned a lot more. And there's all these things I've learned in this short time where, yeah, at school, I mean, it's great to hear lectures and you can tell me the definition of content marketing, but I've been so involved in it now that I really, at least in the blogs form, know how to do it and what I'm doing. So I definitely agree with that. And that was my genius way of naturally getting a pitch in for Pro Lemon and how it's better than school. But we've talked about Pro Lemon for a while now. So I want to get to know, Lydia Sims a little bit more. So just a few, nothing crazy, nothing deep, but just what are some things you enjoy doing outside of kind of Pro Lemon in school, hobbies, interests, things like that?
It is, it's hard to not to find something that I might take like relative interest in, if that makes sense, because I get bored so quick with things.
Okay.
I was in 4-H and FFA. I was chapter president through there for a couple years, and I showed shorthorn steer at fair. So I still hang
Okay.
around farm animals a lot. I do stained glass work. I do like that. Everybody did it during pandemic. That everybody hopped on the artisan bread wagon, but that's
Ah,
something I
yes.
already did a lot. Baking's been a big thing in my life. Reading always, but like if you look at my little personal library, it's all like informative books, how to grow, roast, and grade coffee. It's the same with wine.
Gotcha.
I do a lot of floriculture and gardening. I'm a certified florist. I'm a certified beer server. I'm a certified dog groomer. So
Really?
I bounce around everything. If there's something to do, I'm usually going to go find it and do it.
That's a lot of certificates on your wall. I think that's cool that you have your hand in so many different pots. I don't even know if that's an expression or not, but it made sense. But yeah, that's you have all these different interests. That's really cool. What's like been your most, because you kind of said some interesting ones with farm animals, whatnot. What's been your most like crazy or interesting one, or one that you say and people are like, oh my God, you do that? That's so cool. Like,
Um, it's a lot with, if I guess it'd be considered with the animal husbandry, just the different animals I have raised. And
okay.
I'm sure any like team member that's like is going to listen to this or has has heard me talk about this, but I've had like iguanas and ball pythons and like specialty toads, and I've bred those. And it's just the interest in those kind of animals I get a lot of like off the wall looks at, or there's um I think I have like a clashing personality versus how I look. So most of the time I do have on like full sleeves and everything. But the fact that usually you can find me getting tattoos, I have 17 tattoos right now.
17. Okay.
17, and I'm still getting more. Um, at least I look more normal now. I don't have as much of the tie-dye clothes, but I used to have like a 2-foot mohawk as long as this hair is now. At one point, it was full mohawk at this
Wow.
length, complete with tongue piercing and everything. And that was just like, I'm bored. I'm going to go do this thing. Like, no rhyme or reason. It's like things like that gets me off the wall looks because I just get like a bug up my butt or something and just go do something just to see what'll happen.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, even every time I talk to you or every team meeting, I learn about different pets you have because I knew you had, I think the python and ferrets and whatnot, but the specialty toads is new and all that. So yeah, I learned about your new different animals that you've had every time is that's crazy. And yeah, I didn't know about the tattoos. I know you had some, but obviously, our interactions has been limited to like this box and pretty much here up. So I don't even know if I've seen any of your tattoos. Maybe one. I'm not even saying that like I can remember what it was. So that's, and yeah, the mohawk too. I'm just trying to picture that right now. um, I don't know, that's kind of cool. And I definitely like, it makes sense with your personality. Like you say, you get bored easily and like to change things up. So I think that's kind of cool that you're just able to, yeah, I'm going to get a tattoo or I'm going to shave 3/4 of my head. And it very fitting for what your job is here, like shifting around to different things and all that. So wow, I'm learning so much about you right now. This is so cool. Yeah, we're kind of getting up there in time. So I'd say before we get off, is there anything you want to share with the listener? Any words of wisdom? I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
Um, well, words of wisdom towards what? Because like I have a lot of like odd bits of words of wisdom in there, but if it's in regards to just like college or career or anything, I'd say like my biggest one, even like recently for me, still relearning this, is don't let anybody tell you you're not happy. I guess if that makes sense. Like
Okay.
I have a huge family. I have 6 siblings, so there's always like this certain expectation to meet like the firstborn standard, which for my sister is finishing her master's in nursing. So
Yeah.
it's do what's going to make you happy. Don't do like everyone expected me to be a veterinarian. So I started doing that out of sheer expectation and I did not like it. So like truly follow your heart, follow your dreams, do what's going to make you happy because it's like your whole life that you're working towards. And at the end of the day, it's no one else that's going to live it for you but you. So you might as well be happy while you're doing it.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's great advice. I think I've been lucky with. I mean, I don't have a big family, but even my family, because like I mentioned before, I'm an English major, which isn't the most practical degree. We'll say it's not your typical, business or lawyer or engineer, or whatever. And I just been fortunate when I kind of discovered this is what I wanted to do. That my parents were very for it and very, yeah, if that's what you want to do, go for it. Don't half-ass it, obviously, but go for it if that makes you happy. Because I know some people at my school who, when I talked to them about my major, they said directly that they wanted to do English, but their parents pushed them away from it because it wasn't practical, and then they went into nursing or other degrees or whatever. So I think that's very great advice for sure. And then you said you had little odd bits of advice. What's one of those? I want to hear one of those.
um, what's the best, like, I'm trying to think of the best way to word it. Have you seen or like anything on like the forbidden, like I don't want to say forbidden fruit because that's not gonna like match up with it. But if your brain says like that might taste good or that might be interesting, don't just go bite or do that. Like there's a running joke I have because I like to eat kiwis with the like peel still on it, so they're fuzzy.
Okay.
And my sisters have asked me, like, do you ever like look at a spider or a tarantula and like think forbidden fruit? I'm like, no. And then I start thinking about it, I'm like, but it looks like it. Don't do something just to see what'll happen. Like, I am that person that will look at boiling water and think, I wonder how hot though, and just like plunk my finger in it just because.
So, okay. So that's one of those, like, do as you say, not as you do. Because you have that instinct to just do things, but you shouldn't. Okay. That's interesting.
Just to see what will happen. Like, what's probably going to happen, but you got to check. And that's my entire like adulthood in a nutshell.
That's fine. It's like when the waiter comes with a plate and says it's hot, and you kind of just think, well, is it hot? I got to touch it to find out.
I'm going to wait till they walk away, but I'm definitely touching that plate. Yeah. I definitely need to know.
Yeah, but you got to wait till they walk away so that when you go, oh, it's hot, they're not like, I told you. You can't have those judging eyes around. That's interesting advice. I don't know if I've ever really heard advice like that or in that way, but that's definitely interesting and useful, I'd say, in different ways. So, yeah, I mean, that's all I got. So if you don't have anything else, I think that's it for this wonderful conversation.
Yep, I think I'm good.
All right, cool. Thank you so much for joining me, and listeners, definitely tune in for the next one. All right, that was my conversation with Lydia. Thank you so much for listening. I really hope you enjoyed it. I had a great time talking to her. Lydia's just such an interesting person, and I learn something new about her every time we speak. So it was just awesome, and hopefully you learned something too about Lydia and also Per Lemon and what it's like to work here. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to check out some of our past episodes over at the Per Lemon Academy YouTube channel, and of course subscribe, and be sure to stay tuned for the next one. Thanks, and see you next time.